Oh, hey, there's Larry the Cucumber. Oh, and I'm Mike Nawrocki, by the way.
Who is Larry the Cucumber?
Who is Larry the Cucumber?
And I'm Kurt Heineke.
Who is very first time doing audio commentary.
I know, I'm a little nervous about this. I've seen it done by other people, but never myself. But yeah, I'm the music director here, so I get to talk about some music.
That's right. And this...
is cheesy disco music.
This is cheesy disco music. Yeah, boy, this is just bringing back a lot of memories. Yeah, I remember the whole concept for this show came, I believe, from the fact that Word Records wanted to do a giveaway of, kind of a promotional giveaway of just the songs on some of our previous albums. So we did VeggieTales, and I remember we pulled the audio off of the Video Masters and just, slapped it on a tape and sent it out, and then people went nuts over it, and they loved the music, and we thought, wow, this would be cool. Maybe what we can do is actually now put the musical and video, compile some of the favorite songs that we had done in the previous, 6 shows, I think, into one tape. So with some connective tissue.
Now that T-shirt reminded me, that Gord's Gym.
Uh-huh.
Didn't one of our guys design that?
Yeah, they did a Gord's Gym. Which was a takeoff on Lord's Gym, which was a takeoff on Gold's Gym. So it was sort of a reference twice removed. So the idea being that Larry's confused through this whole thing. That's his deal. He just doesn't. He thinks it's an exercise video at first, and then later on thinks it's other types of videos. So
yeah. So you had asked me for some cheesy disco music there, and I gave it to you.
You do that good. Oh, that's why we didn't have an open in this show, because the open actually takes place after the intro counter scene.
It's one of the sing-alongs.
That's right. Oh, and I remember actually editing the words on this. I was using Media 100 at the time. I did all the editing up until Madame Blueberry, and this show nearly blew up the system. In fact, I think, you know what it was? I think it was this video. We put this video out just before I was going on vacation, and I was sitting in an old dining room chair of my mother's. You remember? Well, actually, we still have some of them around. They're the really ugly yellow velour seated, kind of.
They got the high back.
Yeah, they got the high back with the wicker, rattan. And so I was sitting on one of these chairs.
Whose were those?
My mom's old dining room furniture. So
those will show up in the museum one day.
They might. And we actually we had her dining room table and her hutch and all of her dining room chairs at Big Idea, just because I was storing them, for her because she was moving or whatever.
So she knew you had them.
Yeah, and she gave them to me, but I never used the table. I used the hutch for a while, then gave that away. But the table and the chairs stayed at Big Idea, and we ended up using the chairs, for office chairs, which were really bad on the back. And I remember editing the words, the sing-along words, forever, and just completely threw my back out. And my wife and I were going to Colombia, and I was there for 2 weeks with a bad back, with my back thrown out from those yellow chairs from doing all these sing-along words. With technology today, it would be really easy, but back then it was hard.
Everything was hard.
See, because look how hard it is. See, you're making green words turn white. That's really hard.
In time with the music.
Do you have anything special about this song that you remember?
I was just going to mention that tuba you heard. That was actually our first live. I played live tuba for you, representing Larry playing tuba.
Oh, in the opening.
Yeah, and I've said it before, so people have heard this before, but I purposely made those mistakes in there because we figured Larry probably isn't the best of tuba players.
But you're such a good tuba player that you had to try extra hard.
No, not really. Some of those mistakes I guess I did make.
I think we had some misspelled words in here, too. I remember getting a letter. We got a couple letters about misspellings in this.
Wasn't there one that we have one word that's spelled like 3 different ways in the same tape?
I think so. Spelling's never been my strong suit.
And we didn't have like a big staff back then to do a lot of checking.
No, or a spell check on our word processing that we were working on this. That was still before the days of, a widely used spell check.
And all of these were quite a while back. I mean, 10 years ago or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the music, it was very simplistic in the the sequencing involved, and there's very, very few live instruments. We just plain didn't have the budget back then or the time, even though I'd been a band director, I'd played a bunch of instruments, but we just didn't have the capability to get them all recorded at that time. So what are we hearing here? We're hearing piano and some guitars, and
that's all sampled, right?
Yeah, that's all synth. It's fun though. It's always been fun, the challenge of taking not a lot of time and a small budget and squeaking the most out of it that we can.
Right.
And it's really, I mean, it's the humor and the characters are what are most important. So if you've got a good song, and just for those of you listening at home, usually what happens on these silly songs, Mike comes up with the concept, very specific a lot of times. We'll have the lyrics already written, and we'll have usually some sort of melody in mind. It might be at times just the chorus, it might be a phrase. Sometimes it's
to
the whole
tune
song.
of the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, I wasn't going to mention that, but now that you mention
a lot of
that,
my songs come to the tune of the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yes, in fact, I think one of them almost made it all the way through. We won't say which one. But if you listen closely, yeah, so I missed that one because it was at a different tempo. But yeah, we have to go back through and listen closely, and if there's changes or, there's times that I feel like, boy, you could really use a stronger chorus, or let's stretch something out, and because you and Phil have such good ideas that sometimes I'd love to stretch them out. It's a 30-second idea, and can we get that out to a minute and a half?
Right, to actually make it into a better song.
The great thing about the silly songs is they're such great little stories in themselves that oftentimes they're 3 or 4 or even 5-minute songs, which usually doesn't happen in the rest of the show. So
right.
It's fun to really produce that whole story.
Have a solid-sized song, 3-minute song. And this one was interesting because this actually was an existing song. It was a public domain, folk song.
Argentinian, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, and my wife actually had it on tape, and actually. She helped me a lot on this too, because basically what I did, I love the concept of Larry singing in Spanish and Bob translating, but I don't really speak Spanish. My wife that's her first language, and so I actually wrote the words initially in English, and then she translated that into Spanish, and then we figured out substitutions to get Spanish words that would rhyme, and then.
That's not easy to do.
No, it's not easy to do. And then for pronunciation, a friend of ours, Manuel, who's a really good singer, he came in and he sang it. I don't know if you remember him coming in and recording that.
Well, but he was on the Christmas CD, wasn't he, Manuel?
I had wanted him to be on the Christmas CD because he was a really good singer, but I couldn't get him to come in. He was too busy, so we called another guy in who couldn't sing.
You called him Manuel, didn't you?
But we called him Manuel, yeah. We kept Manuel's name in there. But Manuel sang it. And then I took it home and listened to it over and over again until I got the accent down as good as possible. So Larry actually sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Well, I was in a Christian bookstore, and I overheard 2 Hispanic guys. One of them was pointing to that CD with that song, or that video with that song, and saying, "Oh, this is a great song. You got to hear this. It's just so funny." And I thought,
oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Boy, that is a really cool compliment. That here's these 2 Hispanic guys that obviously know the language, and they weren't saying, "Oh, this is just stupid,"
Right.
That's pretty neat.
That's cool. Well, kudos to Lisa Nawrocki on that one.
Yeah, now we've got Jeff Morrow singing the part of Palmy here.
Yeah, Jeff Morrow, the voice of Diggum the Frog on Sugar Smacks. So I can just picture him saying Diggum.
Yeah, he was just great coming in because, here you have a professional voiceover talent, and you see why the professionals are professionals. He just came in and nailed this. And he did the same on the Christmas CD when we did, I think it was Angels We Have Heard on High. He came in and sang that. And he just gave us so many great takes.
Well, yeah, the first one was so good. They were like, well, I guess we're paying for, another hour for you, so might as well sing it again. We don't really need it.
And then Lisa Vischer, not Nawrocki, Lisa Vischer, Phil's wife, sang the coconut parts. She's got a wonderful voice when she's not Junior Asparagus, and just fantastic voice. I used to work with her at the church that we met at. She sang in the worship team and sang solos all the time. Just fantastic voice. So to actually hear her sing nice vocal parts with those coconuts, they're not singing right now, but
that's right. Well, they did, yeah.
Yeah, they were singing
coconuts
before.
Traditionally have very beautiful voices.
They always sing in pairs.
I think this was the longest shot that we had done to date. This helicopter flying away. It drops down there. That's one long shot. And that was from the reminiscent of the 7-Up commercial in the day. What was the 7-Up commercial with a Jamaican guy? I forget what the catch line on that commercial was, but it was big back then.
The Water Buffalo song.
Wow.
Yes.
This is the only silly song that I had absolutely nothing to do with. Phil, actually, this is also the only silly song that you didn't write.
I didn't write. No.
Neither of us were involved on this one.
Yeah, well, High Soul Cat, I didn't work on that one either, but yeah, so this one, Phil wrote this one, and then did you do the little drum machine there?
No, he had a little drum machine synthesizer at home, and he just laid that down, and then Mike Sage came in and did the guitar
part. Okay. Mike Sage, also the voice of Scallion Number 3.
Mm-hmm. Old friend from church, and he great guitar player, so he came in and actually played live guitar, and then Phil laid down just a little bass part there. So, and who'd have thunk that's the beginning of Silly Songs?
Wow. My big contribution to creative in this was holding out that note for so long. I said, no, I can do it. I can make that note all the way through. Always been a big Three Amigos fan, where they sing the Three Amigos theme and hold out the note for about 7 minutes.
This is probably the first song that I worked on.
You know what? This was one of the songs, I remember Phil playing this for me in a cassette deck in his car. And I wasn't sure how this whole music thing was going to work out because I didn't know how it was going to sound. But when I heard this for the first time on that cassette deck, I got really excited and thought, wow, this could really work. This sounds really good.
Oh, you mean, was that before the music was added, or was that just Phil and Lisa singing it or something?
No, that's when you did the music for this and brought it back. Yeah, I mean, it just sounded much better than I expected it to, probably after hearing the quality of the Water Buffalo song, the initial first shot of the Water Buffalo song.
Phil's not listening to this, is he?
No, because it was great for what it was, but this just had so much more instrumentation and arrangement to it.
Now here's something funny that I noticed right away after doing this in the theme song, that we hadn't gotten too in-depth with harmonizations and melodies, so you'll find out that the theme song goes along with this. I'll show you. VeggieTales, 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 VeggieTales. They're the exact same harmonization. So if I'm out at a church and doing a sing-along, I'll have them in rounds. I'll split it up and have one side sing God is Bigger and the other side do the VeggieTales theme song.
Wow.
And then I make it sound like
I
we
want
planned
you to come
it that
to my
way.
church and do that.
Yeah, we really planned it that way, kids. Oh, Boogie. I think Boogie was misspelled at different ways, sometimes with a Y and sometimes with an IE.
Oh, yeah, yep. That's probably
That
true.
was one of those I remember people talking about. Who sang the voices of watching the little...
Watching. I was one of them. I might have been two of them, and then Phil was one or two of them.
Did you ever think about bringing them back for any other things?
Yeah, no.
Now this sounds amazingly like a...
Home Improvement.
Oops. I'm supposed to say it.
Well,
no, but it's not
fun.
that song. It's inspired by it, though.
Yeah, we wanted to make it reminiscent of. That was another big hot show at the time of this video, was the Tim Allen's show.
And by the way,
Larry in a hard hat. I really like the model for him. It turned out really well.
So I had my assistant Jimmy turn off the
I like his tool belt.
Yeah. I think this is right around the time, too, that we had bought our first house. And
So you're doing a lot of
it was
home
a
repairs?
fixer-upper. Yeah, I was doing a lot of home repairs, and I redid the kitchen and everything all by myself. I didn't get that effect, though.
That's exactly what happened to our... Speaking of...
Oh, yeah, you were telling me...
That exactly happened. My wife, Judy, went... She said the handle was a little bit tight on the faucet, and I went into work, and she called me 2 hours later, said, the hot water handle came off in my hand, and the water's shooting to the ceiling. So it actually can happen, folks. Be careful. If your wife says there's something wrong with the handle, check it out quickly.
Don't put it off.
Yes. So
Yes.
now you've got a story to this one, because you were going to originally yodel, right?
I was going to originally yodel. It was going to be I Love My Tongue, because I wanted to have him yodel. And then we just thought that sounded a little bit too weird, and changed it to lips, and made it into a scat sort of thing. But I wrote this originally. I started it on a long car drive. The song, I had the major hook in the car, and then I actually wrote the rest of it on jury duty. So, and that yellow piece of paper that Archie's drawing on.
Yeah.
I had a yellow legal pad in jury duty when I was writing it on, that I finished it up on. And
was that court case where they found guilty or not guilty?
I actually got released from that jury, but I got
I wonder why.
but I got food poisoning that day. I had a Reuben sandwich that I had from the night before. No, from like 3 days before.
That could
I don't know
be a
what made me think.
problem.
Yeah, and so I had a Reuben sandwich, and I had it with me for lunch hour, and it was at the.
Wait, it was a 3-day-old Reuben sandwich?
Yeah, but I had it in the refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
But then I brought it with me, and it stayed in the. It was with me at room temperature all day.
Wait, who was that in that picture?
I don't know when this comes out if it's going to be me or Sonny Bono. I mean, that picture has so many different iterations. It was Newt Gingrich at first, and then kept changing. But anyway, so I had this sandwich, and it was at the criminal. No, was it the criminal court? No, I was the. Well, if it's not, it was a civil court in California Street, in the city. And I didn't get chose for the jury. I had to sit there all day. I didn't even have to go in, but I finished writing the song. But I ate the sandwich at lunch, and then by the time I got on the L to go back home, I was just feeling violently ill, and it was all I could do to keep from becoming violently ill, physically ill on the train, and actually ended up in the alley, behind the dumpster when I got off the train. So
this song makes you think of that.
It does, yeah. It brings back those memories.
That'll make every other person think of that too. Now, is that usta? Is that really the Polish word for?
It is, yeah. I'm Nawrocki is a Polish last name, and I actually have contacts who speak Polish. I called my dad and asked him if he knew, and my dad speaks a little bit of Polish. He grew up. His parents were immigrants. They came over between the wars. And he didn't know that word. He doesn't know other words, but he called his aunt, who told him that the word for, I believe it's mouth or lips is usta. So, and I just thought it was perfect.
That wasn't Aunt Ruth, though.
No, it was Aunt Jean.
Actually, I've got a sister-in-law named Ruth. So she's aunt to my kids, and she was paranoid once. Now you didn't, but she doesn't have a beard either.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Paranoid, yeah.
No, that Aunt Ruth actually that was one of Phil's aunts.
Mm.
That's how that one originated.
I remember, boy, this was back on the in the office on Foster. I remember late one night stopping in, and Phil was working on this set, and with the checkerboard floor and the template. I just thought, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah. This is when checkerboards look really cool in 3D. Everybody that did 3D had some sort of a chess piece, thing on their demo. Yes. It's like, here comes the bishop and the queen over a chessboard. Exciting action.
This was one of Phil's first. On the first show, Phil had actually written all the melodies and a lot of the harmonizations for this whole set. At that time, he really needed me as an arranger to get his ideas onto, well, not onto paper, but into the sequencer and create it as an arrangement. So these were great ideas that he had with you'd call it counterpoint, where you've got the one part going on, and then you add another part in another melody doing another part.
Right. And
this was a lot of fun to work with. And then you add the drums and the rhythms, and they're sort of the sing tom drums.
This is fun this is the first song that Phil and I worked on together lyrically too. It was kind of fun. He had written the first verse, and he said, "Here, I'm busy. Here, you write the second one." Okay. Although I can't take credit for this rhyme. It's one of the classic veggie rhymes of all time. That was Phil's "Scrabble on with Babylon." That's a good one. Although I came up with umbilical equivocal. That's my favorite.
This was fun to actually. The piece we just heard, there was nothing live in there, which to me, I'd love to go back and add out live instruments. But this was fun. Now, ironically, we've got a similar swing feel here with horns, but we actually were able to finally add some horns. I was playing trumpet and...
Did Russ come in and play saxophone for this?
Exactly. Russ Nolan came in and played tenor sax. Let's see, I played trumpet, valve trombone, and he came in and played tenor sax. And then, on the instrumental of this, he just played a screaming solo. He's just fantastic.
Yeah. I think he's in New York now.
Yeah. So if you're in New York...
go check out Russ Nolan.
At a jazz club near you.
Yep.
I like those hats.
Yep. Yeah, I have actually, we had some hats like that made. I have one at home. I forget where I got them made for.
That's a collector's item there.
Yeah.
Make their day. If you remember what your parents say.
Yeah, this is a fun little song. I can, every time those P's say stand, I can hear Chris Olsen above all the other voices. Very clear in there.
Yes, he was one of the three. You had 3 P's to start out with, right?
Yeah. Actually, when we did Dave and the Giant Pickle, Christophe, before there was Philippe, there was Christophe.
Okay.
So I was Jean-Claude and he was Christophe. So. Remember rendering that last shot, just a nightmare. Okay, what do we got?
Ooh, hairbrush.
Like, you know what this is like? This is like when you move and you're opening up like old drawers, to pack stuff.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah, you discover this letter or that photo or whatever.
Yep.
That's kind of fun.
And then it brings back a flood of memories.
That's
well,
right.
This one.
And you sing Sunrise, Sunset.
Boy, who would have thunk this would turn out to be what it was, though?
The hairbrush song? Yeah. Yep.
You came to me with this this goofy chorus, and then just a bunch of words, all of this interstitial.
Which were spoken at first, but then they were changed to sung because you actually had written music for the interstitial speaking. Like there, I think I saw Hairbrush back there was spoken, and you wrote a little music to that. And then when Lisa went in to sing her part, she sang hers.
I don't even think when he says, I think I saw Hairbrush back there. I don't even think I wrote a rhythm in the music to go along with that. I was just writing operatic, change-ups between each of your phrases to get us from one point to the next with some of the dialogue in the middle.
Yeah.
And then when you and Lisa went in to record that, I wasn't even there that day because that's when I was still working full-time at the church and doing this part-time, so I wasn't in there every day. And the two of you, I was going to say you guys, but now that we're moving to Tennessee, it'd be y'all, went in to record that, and it was Lisa that said, oh, you know what, I think we could sing part of this instead of just speaking it.
Yeah.
And then we started adding the little melodies in there, and she took what I had written on piano and, would find the right spots and add a melody in there, like right there.
Yeah, this was the toughest one because it was so long.
But it really turns out, it'd be like an opera.
Right.
An operetta, they're singing through the story.
Right, exactly.
And that's the fun part about this. We've talked about it a lot before, but just the sense of there's really nothing silly in the music that I wrote or the melody that Mike wrote, but it's the juxtaposition of that serious little opera going on and then a cucumber singing about his hairbrush in a bath towel.
Slightly better instead of each other.
I've
I
got
like the peach.
Yes, I've got a keychain with the peach on it.
Oh, sweet.
In fact,
I'm also the voice of the peach.
Thanks.
But I don't do the peach much because he doesn't have much of a range.
I think that's the only time
he
he's
doesn't
sung.
get over it.
Yeah.
It's almost a mixture between Jimmy Gord is a mixture between Larry and the Peach. Hey, you got one of those jump drives now.
Yeah.
Oh,
a
a jump drive with a peach. Oh,
Yep,
that's
and there's
great.
the peach. See?
Cool.
Hear him?
That's a cool looking peach. I always criticize these concrete roses as they come slapping up on the heaviest roses ever.
That's a fun one to hear, the Japanese version of it.
Oh yeah, the Japanese translation is hilarious.
Yeah. And weren't they in the crowd cheering? Wasn't there like a hoita? It seemed like
they
Japanese cheer.
you know what? I have to go back and listen to that. Oh yeah. This one the bunny song was a hit of Rack, Shack, and Benny, but it was the song that you weren't supposed to sing. And we actually got letters from parents saying, well, we love the show, but my kid, all they do is sing the bunny song, which is, the one they weren't supposed to sing. And so we actually, Phil rewrote it, and we re-recorded it for this show, basically, which is with the new and improved bunny song.
So this is version 2.
Right.
And then there was a version 3 when it came out in general market.
Yeah.
It got switched back a little bit more.
Yeah. Or was it that version 2 was for VeggieTunes, the audio, and then, I can't remember. Yeah, there was, because there's been 3 versions of this, and I can't remember which one is which. But basically just taking the song that you're not supposed to sing and make it into a song that it's okay to sing.
Yeah, because now he's saying, I'll obey my mama.
Yeah, it's not quite as fun as the original bunny song, but it's, definitely better for kids to sing.
Then Lisa Vischer and Ginger Tam are singing on there.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the backup parts. And see, since they were already recorded, they're singing the old lyrics.
Right. But Nezer is just...
And that's why Nezer had to,
right.
Instead of them singing the new lyrics, it was
Right.
too hard to bring them all back in, so now
Right.
he's just responding to the old lyrics.
Exactly.
I always thought back then, I was impressed by just what y'all were doing with the colors and just taking liberties with the set, because he's in his office, but now we're on a theater stage somewhere with the spotlights and
Right,
stuff.
just kind of take it completely out of reality. As if vegetables singing in an office is reality. Ah, yes, Carlton Sheets, here we go.
I just had somebody telling me how much they liked how realistic this motivational music sounded. Like we got it off a record somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But, wow, that's a nice compliment, because
yeah, exactly,
we wrote it
like
for
late
this.
night
and
TV.
It really is cheesy.
Yeah. Everybody that's trying to sell real estate is in the tropics. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah,
They're
I guess
sitting in
that's their
Hawaii.
reward for doing so well.
That's right.
Sitting in the tropics with a plaid jacket on.
I really like that song, or I'm sorry, that Sun. We wanted to bring him back as a character, but we kind of had in the Grapes of Wrath, there was a little smiling, dancing sun, but never
Yeah, I
did
remember
anything else
him.
with him.
He never spoke, though, did he?
No. Now, this song was written specifically for this show, The Pirates Who Don't Do Anything. And kind of, I've told this story too before, but basically I came up with the original part, little hook in the song, and Never Been to Boston in the Fall while I was touring with the Continental Singers. We were going across the United States, and we were started off in California, and then we're going to go to the East Coast, and then go to Europe, and then at the end of the summer come back to Boston, and then drive the rest of the way back to California. And so we were going to be to Boston in the fall, and so I started singing about never doing this and never doing that and never being to Boston in the fall, and I just had that in my head for years and years, and turned it into this. And that's that exciting story.
Now, you changed his hat after this, too.
Oh, the hat. Well,
hat.
no, we did for the Jonah movie. We made it a smiley face instead of a skull and crossbones. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make it a friendly skull and crossbones in this anyway. But this is the first time before this point, I had done all of my own storyboarding for the other previous silly songs to this. And this is the first one that I worked with Luis Contreras on this. I remember meeting with him at a restaurant outside of Columbia College in downtown Chicago, and going over the song. And Luis is a native Spanish speaker, and just a really nice and just a funny guy. And we just had a really good time, talking about this and coming up with ideas to use in story.
This was fun to create this was, I think, our first piratey song, where we had to
Pull out the
create
accordion.
create a pirate feel with what we had to do here.
Yeah.
And then to bring them back in the Jonah movie and that sort of stuff was a lot of fun. Who did the slurp when they slurped the coconut?
I think that was me. I think I did the slurp. Yep. And that pattern on the chair, I think I might have scanned that out of a magazine or from an actual plaid pattern. I'm not wrong. Or if I just use that might have been a procedural texture too. I can't remember where we got that plaid. But it certainly does buzz when he moves, doesn't it? Oh, and that little painting in the background. I painted that in Painter background. See the little ocean in the sky there? Yep. Very proud of that. That's the extent of my artistic ability right there.
I'm just noticing the bag of chips there. It kind of looks like some of the chips from Jonah too.
Oh yeah?
I don't think they were inspired by it though.
Almost looks like Mr. Twisty on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact texture we used on that.
Who's got the remote control?
Here it is. Time for Geraldo.
It's definitely time for
Judge Wapner back then.
Yep. Little Rain Man reference. And I think that was the last song on this. It was! Look at that!
Wow.
Here's the credits.
Boy, that went by fast.
It
when
did.
when you talk through a whole video instead of watch a whole video.
It just zips right by. Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you. This was fun. Tune in next time for whatever.
Same time, same channel. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Oh, they misspelled my name there.
Sorry.
Bye-bye. They misspelled it again. Now it's right. Bye-bye.
Sure is a lot of you.
Well, there you are.
I'm Old Spice.
I'm Landlubber.
Yep.
There's Luis.
Barbara Negra, and he does have a black beard. Piratey thingy.
Boy, a lot of good names. Brings back the memories. Okay, really bye this time.